Morning folks, it's Andy, the Expedition Hiker, and today we're reviewing a tent. That is the Vango Nevis 300 Experience. So let's take a closer look. So this is the Vango Nevis 300. It comes with its Vango type of strapping, so you can connect it to the bottom or top of your rucksack if you want, or alternatively put it inside. It comes with a set of pegs, alloy pegs, set of poles, one main pole and two smaller poles that go at each end, and then the tent itself, which is a fly sheet and inner tent combined. So this tent is a tunnel tent. It's a 3-man tent or 3-person tent. The interior space is 225 centimeters long and the outer space is 275. Internal space width 190. Now you can see it's got a slight similarity to another tent, a more expensive tent. Similarity to a Scarp one, but this is a lot cheaper. £130 on the market. It has 2 doors, one either side. One side has got a vestibule and the other hasn't. Let me show you that. This is one side. It's got no vestibule really at all. Then it's got a one-way zip, like a D shape. On the opposite side, you've got similar, well, more of a triangular, again, one-way zip, and it does have a vestibule space. Not a huge amount of space, but can be unclipped from this point and then pushed in a little bit further if you need be, but it reduces your inner space if you do that. There's plenty of space between the inner tent and the fly. As you can see, the green and orange, which is a classic of the Vango tents, doesn't let the light out, so if you're in there in the evenings and you're turning your head torch on, you're not going to be seen for what you are doing. As you can see, it's got one main pole system, and then at each end we've got a point where it holds up, which gives it more space when you're lying down. This is a small 2-point pole. You just clip it in and then you put it up and then guy it out. You only need 8 pegs to put up, and then 2 if you want extra guy lines. Like all Vango tents, it's a 70 denier polyester fabric. This one, given a 3000mm hydrostatic head as the fly sheet and a 6000mm hydrostatic head as the ground sheet. Quite taut, so the rain does run off it. With the extra guy lines and the tension banding system, Mark II, which I'll talk about that in a moment, it is quite good in strong winds. It is designed as a mountain regions tent. It is a take-off on the Vango Banshee. This is the sort of like lighter version. So it weighs in at 2.5 kilograms, which is around 5 pounds. Its trail weight is 2.29 kilos. It is reasonable weight, good for backpacking, cycle packing, wild camping, those type of activities. It's got quite a low compact shape to it, more of a lime green than olive green. Still can be hidden away in the wilds. So let's take a look inside. So inside we've got bags of space. You can see there's a ventilation that end, and there's one exactly the opposite end. You can also see there's quite a bit of headroom at the end points. The internal space is 225 centimeters in length, 175 centimeters in width. That does taper out on one side. The vestibule side is straight. This side has a section that comes out. The actual rectangular shape is about 140 by 225. So that 35 centimeter space there is not really sleeping space, it's more putting your rucksacks and your kit in that area. So you've got 3 pockets here. That's only 3 pockets it's got within the tent, apart from there's also a small pocket there, but that's just for tucking your inner tent and the zip is down. What I do, just hook it onto the banding system. Talking about the banding system, as you can see there, tension banding system. Adjust to remove slack only, do not over tighten. So it's a classic Vango pattern, TRS2. So in high winds and outfouts, you'll tighten it up, and it just gives a stability of the tent. Okay, what else has it got? It's got a loop for hanging a headlamp. So I'm 6'3", and I can sit up in the middle, and my head's not touching the roof, which means that I can actually fit in this tent quite easily. So overall, it's quite a reasonable tent. Good for backpacking, also good for anybody that's doing cycle packing, putting your canoe, anything else like that, if that's your activity. But for me, as a lightweight backpacker, it's slightly heavier for me. But if I was going out wild camping for a weekend, then yes, I'm quite happy to take this out. Now, although it is a full second skin, it is a 3-season tent still, with only a 3000mm hydrostatic head. You can put the fly sheet up first. So actually the inner tent and fly sheets are all in one. And then you've got the ProLite poles. So the negatives I find is that the bathtub shape is a rectangle with a little bit sticking out on the side. The rectangle space, which is your sleeping space, is actually 140 by 225. Now, if it's a 3-person tent, the average sleeping mat is 50 centimeters wide. So that would work out that each mat will be overlapping each other. Now, what they've shown is on the picture is that 2 people sleep one way and 1 person sleeps the other. But personally, the last time I tried that was I was in the Cub Scouts, and I remember even back then that with my feet against somebody's head and vice versa, well, me personally, I roll over about 3 times in the night. So that's 3 times I'm going to kick somebody in the face because my feet is going to be next to his head. So not probably the most plausible way of actually sleeping in a tent, although I'm sure some people do it. And also, if you've got very smelly feet from walking all day, if you've got your head next to somebody's feet, that's not going to be too good either. So 2 people and a dog or a small child you can fit in here, but not 3 adults. And you can take them apart, but there's no point. The pegs aren't the best pegs in the world, they're just the standard aluminium pegs with a shepherd's hook. The other negatives, I don't like the doors, how they're a one-way zip. I would prefer if it was a 2-way zip. Ventilation wise, yes, there's ventilation either way. You've also got a slight ventilation on each door at the top and a ventilation at each end. I've been staying at this campsite for 4 days now, and I haven't noticed any condensation. I've had a lot of rain, so on the exterior of the fly sheet it's been wet, but not the interior. So the verdict is, would I use this tent? And the answer is yes, I would. I wouldn't take it ultralight backpacking with me because it's not built for that. But if I wanted to go out wild camping for a weekend or a few days, then yeah, weight is reasonable and it's a good little tent. So with that, I'm going to say cheerio from here. So if you want to know anything more about this tent, then leave a comment and I'll be sure to answer that. With that, I'm going to say ta-ra from here. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little review on the Vango Nevis 300 Experience. It is the newer version. I think it's last year's model. There was a version that I had before 2019, so it's an improvement on that model. So with that, I'm going to say cheerio for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, hikers.